So here we are, this is our car for the 2019 Formula Ford season, and the car that we hope that will take us to the top of the championship. Yeah, we're not there to make up numbers.
Okay Jordan, so nice to be catching up with you after quite a successful 2019 season, as you can see here.
Definitely.
Yeah, so it all started back at your car launch at the start of the year, before we went to a very snowy Knockhill for some pre-season testing. So you want to tell us just a little bit about how the season started off?
Yeah, so we obviously had the launch at Angel Wax Trade Direct in Port Glasgow, and that was it was the first time. I mean, we've always marked the start of the season with something, usually just a photo shoot, but I think it was the first time that we had a kind of official launch and invited people along and things. And I think it was great. It was a really great experience for us, and well, a lot of people came along, and yeah, it was good. And then of course testing was just the next day, as you said, at Knockhill. So that was the first time we've been in the car this year, and we changed quite a lot over the winter in our kind of setup philosophy. Again, I think, as I said at the time, as a small team, you always look at where you weren't as strong as you wanted to be the previous year, and how you would kind of capitalise on that. So we did that at the first test, analysed the kind of changes that we'd made to try and improve. But it was a pretty snowy day, so it was kind of inconclusive. Not so much inconclusive, but just that we didn't get the data we would have liked on a fully dry or fully wet track. It was dry by the end of the day, but there were still like rivers across the track, where the snow was still melting and the gravel was running across. So, but it seemed positive. I mean, I felt pretty confident in the car from the get-go. We were never close to going off, which is always a good sign if the car never ends up in the gravel. And yeah, I mean, you don't look at too much times from pre-season testing and say we're more focused on ourselves and how the car felt versus last year. And in that aspect, it was good. But again, we didn't get the conditions, but we couldn't complain. I mean, although the conditions weren't ideal, the car still felt pretty stable all the time, whether it was a wet patch, a dry patch, or whatever. So yeah, we left that day pretty happy with it.
And I remember speaking to everybody before the season kicked off, and there was a lot of thinking that this is your year, this is the year Jordan's going to deliver. So what was it like to have that kind of pressure before the season kind of kicked off? How did you feel yourself?
Yeah, I mean, you look at previous years and how we did, and we're not stupid. We know we're going to be strong. Yeah. And we hoped we were going to be strong, but you can give yourself a mental, not breakdown, but you can put yourself at a disadvantage if you start listening too much to what everyone's saying, and you can put a lot of undue pressure on yourself. Yeah. So we were very much just, and it's what I said outwardly, and it was honestly how I was trying to approach things as well, was that we're just doing what we did every year. Every year we go out and we try and improve on the previous year. I drive as fast as I can. We try and put our best package together for each weekend, and at the end of the day, if it's good enough, you'll win, and if it's not good enough, you won't win. So we're just really trying to do the same thing. And
I suppose taking it a race at a time is probably the best approach, just to try and do the best at that weekend, and then see how the season kind of comes together.
Yeah, it's a bit of a cliche. Yeah. Everyone always says that, we'll just take it one race at a time, but it's true. That's really the only way to go about it, especially early on in the year.
So what about the first round then? How was that for you then?
Yeah, so the first race was it was a surprise, but it was also a kind of challenge. We went along. It was wet on the Saturday, it was wet on the Sunday as well. It was pretty miserable all weekend. So I remember going along to Saturday practice, and of course we found out just before the weekend that Jamie Thorburn had entered in preparation for some of the national rounds he was doing. I raced against Jamie before, a lot of respect for him. He's a quick guy. He knows Knockhill obviously, and he was there with his team. And I think Gavin Ray was also there to help him kind of just get the car kind of set up. So obviously we were expecting quite a big challenge from him, from that team. And then on Saturday, I remember it was obviously because it was wet all day. We looked at the wet weather setup. We looked at we tried a lot of different things. We had 4 runs through the day, so we tried a lot of different angles, kind of variations in the theme, if you like, to see how the car behaved. And then by the end of the day, with a lot of different data then to go through, a lot of different footage to look at as well, and try and decide what best package taken in qualifying. But no, I remember on the day that the times we seemed to be quick. Again, it was Jamie that we were focusing on we've only got the one stopwatch, so we just pick who we want to
Yeah.
benchmark ourselves against. And we seem we seem to have a few tenths in hand until the last session. The last session, all of a sudden the two of us were neck and neck. It was just and that kind of so it is going to be a challenge tomorrow. Then we'll see what happens. So then we went into Sunday and thinking qualifying's going to be tough. We'd stayed up quite late the night before. I remember looking through all the footage and all the things, and then saying no, it's definitely that setup that we need to go with. So made the decision, went to qualifying, and then came in from qualifying. Got the number one from my dad. Like, yeah, we've done it. We're on pole.
Brilliant.
And then found out that it was a second, and we'd qualified on pole by a second. Which after the last session on Saturday, with where did that come from? I think I remember Jamie saying to me as well very kindly, that was because he was surprised at the gap. But no, we were because it looked close on Saturday. But I think it transpired that they put their new tyres on Saturday in the last session. Whereas we still ran our old tyres, and then when we put the new tyres on in Sunday, it gave us a bit of a boost as well. But no, it was mad to be that far in front, and the car felt phenomenal. It really did. I remember saying at the time I'd never driven a car with that much grip in the wet. But it felt like I was on different tyres to everybody else. You would come up to somebody in qualifying, and you would think, well, why are you not going this fast? Because have I got different tyres or something? It's crazy. So qualifying was good. Then the first race was fantastic. We just got away, built a gap based on the pace within qualifying. It was still there, and took the first win of the year, which was fantastic. And then second race, obviously you go in thinking we've done a good job already. Let's just keep it together for the second race today. It's always annoying when you win the first race because then you can't really celebrate because you've got the second one to do.
Yeah.
But at the start, I fluffed the start in the second race, and Jamie got in front. And it was a bit drier as well, and there was always that little niggle, well, if they found something with a bit dry, it's not as wet as it's been all weekend, if they maybe caught a little bit, and then he got ahead of me off the line, because the lights went off really quickly, and I just wasn't ready for them. It was just my mistake, and he got us. But after a couple of corners, I got the feeling that we had the pace again, and I was able to challenge him a couple of it, and then coming into the hairpin on the end of the first lap, he went defensive up the inside, and I was able to just brake so much later. Again, the grip in the car was unbelievable. I was able to go around his outside, and once we were in the lead, that was it. We disappeared off and took 2 wins, 2 fastest laps in a pole position from the first race, which was...
You can't ask for more than that. So I remember you saying that you and your dad had been trying different setups and things like that. So how much had that played into really, giving you those results in the first races? Definitely, because it definitely contributed, because the setup we ended 2018 on in the wet, which we were quite happy with. The car was pretty good. Was significantly different from the setup that we used to win the first 2 races. So, and it was because of the work on Saturday. I mean, as I say, I remember the two of us. I think it was just Dad and me down that weekend from the family, and the two of us were sitting in the Holiday Inn Express hotel room at night with a laptop on, hooked up to the TV, watching the footage, going through all 4 runs and say, well, this is the setup we had in that one. How does the car look? How did it feel? What the times? What does the data look like? But more importantly, what does the car look like on track? Because you remember how it feels, but a lot of the time, I certainly find when I'm driving that you automatically make up for the deficit in the car. Yeah. So it's difficult to know just looking at times if it's you that's improved the car, or if it's the car's naturally going that quick kind of thing. And you could see from the footage, there was definitely one setup that I'm not working as hard as the wheel as I am the other one. So that's what we picked to go forward with, and it worked. So. Fantastic. So that was the first round, and then we moved on to round 2.
Round 2 was, again, it was almost like a clean sheet because we were on the reverse direction, which is a different circuit completely from the conventional clockwise. And a lot of challenges for a Formula 4 car in reverse direction. It's not. I like driving it. I love driving it, but in a Formula 4, I don't think it's ideally suited to the type of track. And this might be another cliche. A lot of people say a great track to drive in reverse, but not a great track to race in reverse. Yeah. And I experienced that. I find that I love driving it, but from an overtaking, point of view, it's you didn't have to do much overtaking this season, mind you. Well, I did that round once, but it was difficult to. We never really clicked with it either. In the previous 2 years or years and a half, we did I think 3 previous races we had anyway, and the car never felt as good as it did on the right way around on the clockwise. So that was something again that was okay. We've had this fantastic start to the year with 2 wins and with the points of fastest lap, but now we're on to something different. It was dry, it was the other way around, and yeah, the car had never been that great. So Saturday again, it was a full day test, so we had the 4 sessions, and again the work we'd done over the winter was primarily to try and fix the car in the reverse direction to make it feel better, and hoping it would obviously carry over to clockwise as well. So we're just really trying to analyse, because we'd not had a test in the dry yet on the reverse direction, how the changes had affected it. And yeah, it felt good. The car felt better on the Saturday than it had before on reverse. And again, I think we looking at the times. Again, there were no kind of guest drivers there that weekend, so it was like Matchism was really quick on reverse, so he was probably the next guy that we're after. Logan Hanna was quick as well. So we're kind of keeping an eye on both of them on the Saturday. Neil Broom, he won't mind me saying he's inconsistent. I think in the reverse direction, he can be really quick, but he can be really leery sometimes as well. So, but yeah, all 3 of them were pretty. And Kenny Cowie was also out that weekend, but I think he was struggling with some mechanical issues. But we seemed to be okay, and then we went into qualifying and we put on our race tyres again. The test tyres were getting a bit old at that stage, so our race tyres in qualifying, and the car was absolutely phenomenal in qualifying. And I remember the lap time was just coming down and down and down, and every time you crossed the line you checked the dash and you were going a couple of tenths faster, and it just invited you to push more and more, and it was an amazing feeling again on that circuit, which I was never comfortable on. To be able to push, because usually in the reverse direction you're kind of hanging onto the car. There's a lot of off camber, but it just invited you to attack every corner. It was amazing. And I can't remember what the lap time was, but the lap record was a 54.3 or 54.4 or something like that. Sorry, 53. 53.5 or something. And I remember having that in my head, and when we crossed the line and bet it, I actually shouted inside the helmet, yes! Because that was the time that was in my mind to try and get. It didn't count because it was qualifying, so it's not an actual lap record. But yeah, it ended up being the fastest SMRC pole position lap on the reverse direction. I think the National guys went a bit quicker when they raced, but they had brand new tyres and a heavily rubbered in track. But it was amazing to be on pole, and again it was almost a second to Matchism. It was 0.977 seconds or something. It was crazy to be that far ahead. So so again that was kind of surprising. And then it kind of, the weekend flipped a little bit. In the races the car was horrible. Not horrible, but nowhere near as good as qualifying. We really struggled with the balance in the races. But it seemed like everyone else maybe did as well, because they dropped back a little bit, and I was able in the first race to get a good gap, and I got away from the line well to start with, and then get a good gap. And then there was a safety car right at the end, which just as you're kind of almost going into cruise mode to come home, the safety car came out. I think Kenny and Neil had an incident. I think Kenny got beached in the gravel, and that caused the safety car because of the location where his car was. And you kind of re-engage then because the safety car's out with 2 laps to go, and it was a bit of a sprint to the line, but we managed to take it, which was obviously our 3rd win of the year. And then race 2 that weekend, same kind of as the first weekend. You've done well, you don't want to mess up, so let's just go again. And then for the 2nd weekend in a row, I fluffed the start. And Logan was on P2 and she got a fantastic, or was she P3? No, I think she was P2. She got a fantastic start, got me into turn 1 there. And I'm thinking, you've done it again 2 weekends in a row and you fluffed the start the 2nd time round. But again, the end of the first lap, we managed to get ahead of her again into the hairpin, and once I was in front, I was able to build a reasonable gap, and no safety car this time, so we took the win and the fastest lap again.
Must be quite challenging when you've got quite a big lead, and it's getting towards the end of the race and a safety car comes out, and then it wipes that out.
You do think, no.
Done all this hard work.
Especially because you're kind of, you've almost switched off a little bit, because you're you've got a gap, you're changing up early, you're not pushing the car to the limits, just take it home, and then all of a sudden you've got to get heat back in the tyres, get the brakes up to temperature, start pushing a bit more.
Attack again.
Yeah, it was interesting, but we managed to survive it.
So another great round, and then we returned to normal direction, and I suppose it was midway through the season, that round 3.
Yeah, round 3 exactly. It was quite a short season from that point of view. Round 3, which was the 5th and 6th races, so it was back on the normal direction, but in the dry this time, which was good. The first time we had a chance this year to try the car in the dry. And also we had the Kevin Mills guys were up as guest entrants, and so Mike McPherson, who I know well, got on great with him. Really quick driver, consistent driver, and he's quite young as well, so he's only going to get faster.
Only 18, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, and then Neil McLennan, who bet us to the championship in 2016, I think it was.
Yeah.
So he obviously knows Knockhill like the back of his hand. Again, raced, come up through karting, gearbox karts, and a lot of respect for him as well. One of the quickest guys I think I've raced against. So although they wouldn't take points for the championship, it was great for us to have that kind of benchmark there. And on Saturday again testing, it was only, I think it was a short day, a couple of sessions, but it looked like Neil and I were kind of neck and neck. I think we maybe had a tenth on them, but it was very close. And the car felt okay. There was a bit of understeer creeping in here and there, but it was okay. Qualifying, we put new tyres on because that was the race we're onto our second set of tyres, and with an awful lot of understeer in the car, it was really difficult. In qualifying, but despite that, we qualified second. We missed out on the pole. The only time of the year we missed out on pole. Neil took the pole, but I think it was less than 100th. There was nothing in between the two of us. So we're kind of thinking, well, for the car to be not behaving that well, is to be that close to these guys is still pretty good. But it was a bit annoying not to, especially when it was so close. The lap time was so close. But again, for the championship, it didn't matter. So into the race. We made the decision after qualifying, and perhaps maybe regret it now, but we made the decision because we hadn't qualified in pole and because it didn't matter for the championship, that we'd treat those two races as a test for the David Leslie, which is the following week, following race, and that's the one that every driver wants to win. You have to get the car sorted for that. So we made quite a significant change to the car between qualifying and the race to try and get rid of the understeer that it kept in. And it long story short, it didn't work. And the car was an absolute nightmare in the first race. And Neil disappeared off in the distance, as he was quite entitled to do. And I spent the race just defending against first Michael McPherson, who got past me, and then Neil Broom, I think, got past me as well at one point. So I was fighting with these two guys all race long. And as I say, with the car having to hang on, we hadn't got rid of the understeer, but we'd added in a lot of oversteer, so there was just no grip anywhere. But eventually in the second half of the race, I kind of started to get on top of the car and how to drive it with the new handling that we'd created. And it started to I think I caught Neil, got past him, and then caught Mike and passed him into the hairpin. With a few laps to go, and then managed to get a little bit of breathing space so that we finished relatively good. So we got second, we got which was first in the championship, we got all the points in the championship. We just snuck the fastest lap, and no more again, the car wasn't quick, but we just somehow snuck the fastest lap. So we got the maximum points from that, and learned not to try that setup again. which is that's what we did. So the second race, we tried something different with the car, a bit more conventional, but not as extreme, because we didn't want to put ourselves in that kind of position again where we're fighting hard with guys behind, and it worked a lot better. We got away off the line. We kept pretty much with Neil for most of the race until a back marker got in the way and 3 cars through, which you might know. And the end Neil kind of stretched a little bit, but we came home comfortable second, and we got the points again in the championship. Again, as far as the club went, we got the fastest lap, which was maximum points again. And it actually turned out in Parc Fermé, by the end of Parc Fermé, we looked at the car and the back left tyre was flat. So we picked up a slow puncture somewhere on the race, so we're lucky to get across the line, because if that went down a few laps earlier or something, we could have spun off, in the corner, stuck it in the wall, damage. So that was probably our luckiest point of the year. We finished the race without going off. But as far as the championship went, that was now 6 races in a row where we'd taken maximum points, the win and the fastest lap. So it was what was even better from our point of view was that there wasn't a clear challenger emerging. The first race of the year, Kenny Cowie was quick. The second race, Matt Chisholm and Logan Hanna were quick on reverse, and then the third race it was Neil that was taking the points. So they were all kind of taking points off each other, which is great when you're in front. Obviously, that's what you want. So it was the first half of the year done, and it was pretty phenomenal.
And like you said as well, you got the opportunity to try some different things in preparation for the David Leslie Trophy. So that was the next round. So tell us a little bit about that. Yeah, so that was the big one. For anybody who doesn't know, the David Leslie Trophy is named after the great man himself, the kind of Scottish touring car legend, and he raced various other things. He was a guy that my dad raced at the same time as in karting, and I remember before I even started in karts, my dad telling me about this guy called David Leslie, who was so smooth and he would just destroy everybody. He was a different class from Dad, but he just stood out. This was a talented guy. So he was always somebody that I knew the name of, and then obviously when he sadly passed away, they had this trophy for him for Formula Ford. So I think he started in Formula Ford, the car that was there. I think a lot of major Scottish stars like Alan McNish, Derek Franchitti, David Coulthard, they've all had, David gave them a big hand in their career and helped them out. So really a hugely influential guy in Scottish motorsport.
So yeah, it means a lot to be racing for him, if you like.
Yeah.
So that is the jewel in the crown. It's a beautiful big glass vase type thing with names kind of engraved on it. It's a beautiful piece of kit. So yeah, that was the one we wanted to be on our best for. So found out on the lead up to the weekend that Matt Cowley had entered with the GBR team. Matt obviously, I guess, so he wouldn't take points in the championship, but he would be there for the David Leslie Trophy. Again, massively talented guy. Raced against him previously at Knockhill, and again 2016 I think it was. And after that, I think he went to the States, did some racing, and he currently races an Aston Martin on the continent, I think. But again, I got on well with Matt. He's a great guy, and it would be good to have again a benchmark to measure ourselves against, especially on that weekend. So again, Saturday looked like we had Friday night test, and then Saturday morning.
Because it was 3 races.
It was 3 races, yeah. One in the Saturday, qualifying Saturday, 1 race on Saturday, and 2 races on the Sunday.
Yeah.
So yeah, in practice the car felt good. It looked like we'd moved forward. It still wasn't ideal, but it looked like we'd solved an issue from the previous weekend with all that understeer we had. It seemed we'd been in Banff in the week previous to that and been able to put the car in the flat patch and reassess the setup a little bit, and we found some things that shouldn't have been set that way.
Right.
Not really any fault of ours, it was just something that had crept into the car. So we rectified that, and yeah, that seemed to make a good difference. So the car was pretty good. And then qualifying came and we stuck it on pole, which is a great start, especially with, I think Matt was second. But it was only a couple of tenths, it wasn't much, so it was going to be a close weekend. And then the first race, got off the line reasonably well, but Matt got me in the first corner, I think, and I think I got him back at the bottom of the hill into McIntyre's. Yeah. And that almost set the tone for the weekend. It was just me and him.
Ding dong,
it was. So he got past me again, I think, on the run up out of the hairpin. His car, he was so quick out of the hairpin that weekend, and that's really where he got me all weekend, was out of the hairpin. And I think over a lap, as we showed in qualifying, we had the faster package. But in a race situation, you have to be quick up out of the hairpin, and that's what he was. And he got in front, and once he was in front the second time, I couldn't find a way by. He tried everything, and the two of us were wheel to wheel like so many times. It was one of the closest races. We never touched once like the whole weekend, and it was. I mean, you see the footage and you see the onboard looking back, and you can't believe that we never touched each other, because it was just wheel to wheel stuff. And both races, the first race ended in a drag race up to the line. I think he won it by a tenth. And then in the second race, it was another drag race to the line, which, because he led the whole race, but again, that second race, it was even. I mean, I was round the outside of McIntyre's and things, and the two of us were just wheel to wheel everywhere. It was like watching Skull Electric cars on the track. It was amazing. But yeah, the second race, he won the drag race to the line by, it was less than a tenth, it was even closer. And again, I think the spectators were enjoying it anyway.
I know they were in the David Leslie Trophy in the final race.
The final race,
I was watching. And it was one of the best things I think I've seen at Knockhill from a spectating point of view. And again, like you say, you guys so close for the whole race. It was, and again, that was it. We had the grid walk previous as well, so the public were on the grid, and we've got this like an F1 style grid with people milling around on it, and then we did the warm-up lap, and now away we went. And in this race, it looked, it wasn't quite as side by side. I think Matt had a little gap to start with, and we just reeled them in. And you can see it. I remember seeing as we were catching him, he was just starting to lock a brake here or make a wee twitch there, and every time he did that, we just closed up, and it was the both of us were on edge, just pushing for everything. You could see that. And then once I got to him, I started trying things and trying to be as inventive as I could. But I mean, you just positioned his car perfectly. And he always had this pull out the hairpin. Now I was round his outside a couple of times, and then we got like 3 laps to go or something, or 2 laps to go. And I thought, I'm going to have to do something crazy if I'm going to try and get by him here, because I can't get by him. Although we're quicker, but I cannot get by. So in the set penultimate lap, I kind of switched right at the last minute to try and surprise him and goes up his inside of the hairpin, but I just couldn't get alongside enough. I had to back out or road and fight each other. And because of that, coming up the hill, I lost momentum. I even missed a gear for good measure, and I was like, well, that's it. I kind of resigned to myself to that was it. We'd fought well over the weekend, but it was just annoying that we hadn't been able to get in front of him and show our pace. And then went over the hill and through Duffus down the bottom, and he was quite a bit ahead by this time because of the momentum I'd lost. And then I saw him lock his front into McIntyre's, and he went straight on, and I immediately kicked myself, you idiot, if you were closer to him, you would get by him because he's made a wee mistake.
but he kept locking up and he kept going straight on, and then he was on the gravel, and I just, come on, we can do this, and then he came back on just as I snuck up his inside, and I mean, you see on the onboard, I just snuck in front, and the emotions I felt in that moment were insane.
Yeah.
You know, it just sets you all of a sudden, you can win this, just don't do anything stupid.
Yeah, you've got to keep it in check. That's
well, exactly. And then if you see, my dad takes the neck a little bit, because you see the Clarks that lap, so I got him just into the lead as we went through the chicane, and then up the Clarks, and then the car just goes sideways over Clark. My dad says, you didn't do that all race.
Yeah.
I said, I know, it's because I was so tense. I was just all of a sudden full of nerves, thinking, Scott, you're in front. Don't do anything stupid. So then he got close, and then the back straight, he was kind of in the mirrors. I thought I had enough of a gap, but I went to the middle of the road, and the braking zone just to try to pull off. I think he still tried something, but I saw him lock up, and as I turned in, I checked the mirror, and I saw his car go flying off. I think he just overcooked it a little bit. I think he still managed to come back on the race and nail the line. And then, coming out the hairpin for the last time. I've never felt emotions like that in a race car. It was because of the circumstance. I mean, if we'd been in front and we'd won all the races, it would still been amazing. But because of this, I was convinced the lap before it going, and then to get it, and then to come across the line, I'd jumping out the car, and then in the Warrington lap, stupidly, you should never take off your seatbelts until you're part Fermi. But
I did get a telling off for that.
I did. I got a telling off. I accepted the telling.
It was nice to see the emotion, and of course it was the 50th year of Formula 4, Scottish Formula 4 as well, so a big special race to win.
It was to win, and it was the 50th anniversary. There was past champions there. It was amazing, and the Warrington lap I'll remember forever. I think just being so, my throat was red raw by the end of it. I've never screamed so much, and then to come in and to stand on the podium with that trophy and get it presented to me, but. And it was just an amazing experience. Yeah,
and we managed to nab you not long after that.
Yeah, it was great. I love that. I love watching that.
I love that
too. The emotion's still pretty raw, so it's it's good.
So it was great. So fantastic, great job. And then we were on to that would be the round 5
after that. Yeah.
So back to reverse.
Back to reverse again, and the championship was obviously looking pretty good by this point, because there was a situation with the first half of the season being how it was. There was a situation where we could have actually won the championship with the David Leslie race, but Neil was too good. He kept finishing too high, so we didn't wrap it up then. But I think coming into the September race in the reverse, it was pretty clear that we'd have to have a pretty disastrous weekend for it not to go our way. So we're aware of that. But again, it was reverse. And then we had a funny thing that weekend was that the Formula Juniors, which are juniors, but they're quite powerful cars, but they're kind of 50s and 60s cars.
They're getting your way even more than the guy in a yellow crash helmet.
But yeah, they were racing our grid because the two grids weren't big enough really to race. They just about racing themselves. So, and I mean, some of them were. I think there was about 20 seconds a lap difference, which was meant we'd catch them after a few laps in the race. So, but again, it was one of these weekends. It was a funny. Irony is a funny thing. It was our best. It was our worst weekend of the year.
Yeah.
But it was the best weekend of our career. Because we got the championship. So Saturday felt good. The car felt good. We seemed to have a pace as we did the last reverse back in May. But in the last session, all of a sudden, the car felt terrible for the last few laps of the day, and we lost a bunch of pace. And what's happened? We came in and noticed that the rear anti-roll bar broke on the car.
Right.
We didn't have a spare. Which we've now rectified. You always have a spare in these things.
Yeah.
So that put us on the back foot going into Sunday to start with, and that was the kind of start of the snowball that ended in the disaster of the first race, although it wasn't that bad. So we manhandled it round qualifying, somehow stuck it on pole, I think by a couple of tenths. It was really close. But the car just was a disaster. It was so floppy. Without the stiffness at the rear, it would roll so much coming into McIntyre, so you come down obviously out the chicane quite quick, and then you're loaded up quite heavily as you brake.
Yeah.
You're trying to brake, but because of the amount of roll that was in the car, because there's no rear roll bar, the front left would lift because the front was still stiff, and you couldn't brake, so you had to back off almost and just feather the brake. So you're losing so much time because it's things like that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't great to drive. It wasn't really enjoying driving the car. But again, we put it on pole, and in the first race managed to get off the line. Well, we'd actually addressed our start issues that we've been didn't happen for that weekend, and it worked really well. The first start, I think it was the first time in the dry anyway that I've been further ahead with the first corner than I was off the line. It was a fantastic start. It was good to, at least that was a kind of positive that justified the work we'd done in our starts. And then I started building a gap, although again the car wasn't great, but I still was eking out a 10th or so a lap. To, I think it was Matt behind me, and then Neil was behind him. And then we started coming across the juniors, and they were so, no fault of their own, they were going as fast as they could, kind of thing, but you would catch them and they were so slow that you had to just back off and wait. So within a couple of cars of that, they were right on me again. So you're having to defend and keep an eye on the mirrors, and then check for another guy coming to lap. And so we had a few laps of that, and every time we got by some I was able to get a gap again, and then we'd meet one and I would lose the gap, and they were right on you again. And then about halfway through, I think, there was one. Up until that point,
it was painful to watch.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
Up through Duffus, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was it. They'd said someone in the driver's brief, and their representative had said, look, the best way to lap us is if we stay on our line and you find your way by, then you know where we're going to be. But just be aware our cars are difficult to control, etc. And up until that point, that's what had happened. It'd been fine.
Yeah.
And then this guy, I could see him ahead of me coming out of McIntyre's, going up the hill to Duffus. I thought, well, I've got enough momentum and I'm far enough back. If I stay on it and he stays on his line, I can swing around this outside.
Yeah.
And just as I committed to the outside, he decided for whatever reason to let me by on the left hand side. So both of us ended up going right. I ended up in the grass, and then Matthew and Neil get past, and I wasn't pleased. But yeah, it's racing. There's nothing malicious about it, obviously. So that happened, and then I kind of tagged back onto the back of Matt and Neil, who were racing, but I couldn't find a way by. And then the checker flag came out, and that was it. And my initial emotions were finished third, and we've not got maximum points for the first time this year, and it's quite disappointing. And then came into the pits, and everyone's cheering at me, and my mum was there, Karen, Holly were there, my dad obviously, a couple of sponsors, and they were all kind of cheering. And Karen said, "You've won it! You've won the championship." I suppose so, we have. Yeah, it didn't really kind of sink in until I went to give Dad a cuddle, and he said to me, "Scottish champion, you're Scottish champion." I said, "It's right. It's not about today. It's about the journey. It's about the year we've had, the amazing success we had at the start of the year to put us in that position." And I think when he said that, I'm well enough now, but I absolutely burst into floods of tears.
Yeah.
It was amazing, and just hugging them and just screaming to each other, Scottish champions, because we've never been Scottish champions, and then we won lots of stuff in karting, obviously, but never the Scottish. And yeah, that's when the emotion came out, and then it didn't matter. The race didn't matter.
And even in that race, which didn't go well, those points still contributed to you getting the championship.
It's still part of the journey, exactly.
Yeah.
It's still contributed, as you say. So yeah, with the podium and stuff was okay. It was good to get trophy and stuff, but after that, just getting back to the paddock base and just letting it sink in, with the sponsors and so many people coming to congratulate us and chat to us and stuff, and just it's kind of sunk in. Well, kind of made the decision after that, because of the damage in the car, because of the juniors being out, and because we'd done the championship then, and because we'd lost the momentum we had with the maximum points, there was no point to go back out in the second race. So we kind of made the call then not to put the car in any more danger, and just to basically enjoy the day. We'd be back in October because we love racing, but as the way that weekend was going, it would be Sod's Law. I mean, I was kind of happy to hang up there and say we've done it for the weekend. And I said to Dad, it would be Sod's Law that would go out thinking, well, we shouldn't really be doing this, and then something would happen, or something would break, and then we'd be really kicking ourselves down there on it. So we made the call, we packed up early, and then Mum and Dad decided in the last minute they were going to come back through here to our house in Inverkip instead of going up to Banff. And we had a kind of celebration tonight. And
did you get a wee drink at the circuit? Did you get a wee bit of champagne?
No, because I was driving home.
Because you were driving home?
Yeah, I was driving home. I was driving, so. But I got a drink when we got back here on the celebration. We got home, and it's the first time we put on Queen on the solo. So
we are the champions.
We are the champions. And belting out, and Holly, my little girl, was screaming out, "We are the champions!" So that was a fantastic night. Just a fantastic end to the long wait, if you like. To
combination of a good few years in Scottish Formula Ford. So well done. It was great to be there to see it.
Yeah, it was something else.
But then we still had one more round to go.
We did, October, and then you go into that, and a lot of people say to you, it's the last round of the year, and you've done the championship. Pressure's off.
That's another cliche.
It's completely a cliche, but I honestly didn't find that at all. That I put as much pressure on myself that weekend. partly as well because Kieran Haggerty had entered. With Graham Brandon, we know how quick Kieran is.
Yes.
Again, he passed champion, he won it in 2014, I think.
Yeah, that's correct.
And he's obviously raced other things as well. And I'd actually raced against him, a bit of fun during the year for the race against Dementia.
Of course,
kart team that I was lucky enough to represent the club in. And Kieran raced, I think it was maybe his works
McLaren
team that he was with. But he was mega fast at that. I mean, he was the fastest guy out there, and they announced his fastest lap at the end. So, I mean, a lot of respect for Kieran. He's a very, very quick driver. But to see his name on the entry list as well, your first thing's always, okay.
Yeah,
but it was
another challenge, isn't it?
Exactly. And that's what I said to Dad. Is that this is good. We need to push ourselves against these guys, and to see to kind of see where we've made progress since the years that we raced previously. I mean, going into qualifying, I remember saying to Dad, going into qualifying, do you feel any less pressure, any different than you usually do? And he says, no, my blooming butterflies are all over the shop. I said, I'm exactly the same. It doesn't feel like we're just doing it for fun.
You didn't want to do a Rosberg. You didn't want to just
no, I didn't want to
handle
no. It was a normal weekend for us, if you like, despite the championship being done. So
and that's quite a very good thing,
Yeah, exactly. And I think I think that's what I said to Dad as well. And I'm pleased that I feel like this.
Yeah.
Because if you don't feel like that, then why are you doing it anymore?
Yeah.
Why are you not just calling it a day? Why are you putting all the time and effort and money into it if you're done? So no, it was good to get back out there, and it was very similar to the first weekend in a lot of ways. The weather was very similar for the start. It was a disaster. Monsoon conditions for the whole weekend. So all day Saturday was wet, and then and again the car felt. We tweaked the wet setup a little bit until we're happy with it, and then on Sunday it was as wet, and we took pole by, I think it was about half a second or so, but it was a funny qualifying session because we had some of the Formula Libras for quality. They weren't in the race with us, but they were on track. So I think Kieran had been held up by a Libra on one of his laps.
Yeah.
And then there was a red flag for, I think it was Logan, that went off. And then the second half of the session, the rain came down heavier, so nobody improved. So and because we'd been fastest in the first half, we thought, well, we got the pole.
Yeah.
We thought, well, it was good, but we don't really know the pace of anyone because of the way the qualifying worked out. So I think Kieran was starting third, Neil was in second. So still a bit of an unknown as to how the race would go. And then it was so wet that they decided to start the race under the safety car.
Yeah. Which
is something that when you're not in pole position, you think, oh, come on, you should be racing. But when you're in pole position, you think, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
Because there's less risk
of having an issue at the start.
Losing a position off the start. And I mean, ultimately, it's a decision that's made for our safety. So you're always trying to get your own advantage out of these decisions, but ultimately you've got to accept it. And I think it was probably, I don't know, was it the correct? But it was the call was made. I didn't think it was that bad. I think I've raced it worse from a standing start. But anyway, it was what it was. But it benefited me because I was able to control the pace from the start and get a gap away. And again, I think because Kieran had qualified behind Neil because he'd been held up on his qualifying lap, that gave me a bit of a breathing space as well.
Buffer.
But yeah, again, the car felt phenomenal. And they were even better I think than it did in the first race.
Yeah.
We moved it forward again, and they had so much traction in the acceleration zones, and the balance was unbelievable. And we just started setting fastest laps and pulling away and took the win. And in the second race, it was slightly drier, so it was a standing start. Last start of the year, again, Kieran we'd finished second, so he was alongside us on the grid. And my starts hadn't been the best during the year. I'd fluffed them twice, but again we did address that. We thought we'd addressed that previously, so it was kind of down to how well we get off the line this time. And I think once we got going, we'd hope that we kind of have the pace to stay there. But it was this: if he gets me off the line, then it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
And I think I did what is probably the best start I've ever done. I mean, I look at the onboard, and the revs are just so consistent, and it's such a beautiful drive off the line. It was almost a textbook start. So again, I led into the first corner quite comfortably, and then was able to just pull out the gap and end the year with another win, another fastest lap, and that was it.
Excellent. So the awards is coming up next couple of weeks. So we've got that to look forward to.
Yeah, we've got that to look forward to.
You should probably add to your collection, I would imagine.
Well, at least the championship trophy.
Yeah, we get that one. And then we'll be looking to 2020. So what plans, what are you thinking of already for next season?
Yeah, so 2020. I mean, our priority is to come back and defend our title.
Yeah.
Obviously, everything in racing, as you know, depends on budget.
Yep.
And we've been very lucky with the sponsors we've had this year and previous years. All previous years from karting, you know, I wouldn't have progressed past one race in karting without sponsorship. So
Yeah.
it's really very much up to them that this 20-year journey to the Scottish Championship's taking place. So a massive thank you to everyone who's ever supported us. And yeah, next year will depend on the budget as well. And you know, hopefully we can put together a budget to come back, and I'd love to defend it again. But it's something that, again, it's one of these things. What I think some sportsmen, it's almost a known kind of phenomenon. It's what happens when you achieve your goal. You know, you've been spending so long aiming for this thing, and what happens when you achieve it? And to me, what happened was pretty immediate. Is that I immediately wanted to do it again.
Yeah.
I almost didn't want to bother about October. I mean, obviously we did, but you know, the feeling was like, I want to go back to the start of the year when everyone's got 0 points and we're going to try and win it again. It was a really strong, immediate reaction from me that I just couldn't wait to get back out there. So you know, if everything goes well, then yeah, our plan is to be on the grid in 2020 and defend the title. Yeah,
and you know, you can always improve. You know, there's always room to try and go that one better, I suppose. And
yeah,
you know,
definitely.
So
we're already working on areas of the car that we're not happy with from this year. There's areas I mentioned in the David Leslie Trophy not having the speed out the hairpin.
Yeah.
So that's something that we need to work on. And the car in the dry as well. In the wet, I think we're pretty good. I think we've shown that a couple of times, but there's still nuances we can tweak. In the dry, I think there's room for improvement everywhere in the car. So we're looking at ways that we can address that over the winter, and again, it'll be back to testing next year and see if it's worked. Basically, see if we can move forward. So.
Fantastic. So I'll just round up with a couple of wee points. So
yeah.
we were talking there about you can always improve. So what was probably the lowest point of the season for you?
So yeah, I mean, every year's got challenges. Probably the lowest point of the year was probably getting run onto the grass by that Formula Junior, to be honest. Because that was the moment that our run of maximum points came to an end, and it doesn't matter at the end of the day. You know, the thing that people remember is the championship, and you know, there was no damaging, nothing was malicious or anything, but it was that was probably the lowest point of the season, which is weird because it came before one of the high points, which is winning the title. So it was very much a roller coaster. That.
And these things can always be difficult because it's nothing that you can sort. You know, you can't really learn from that and say, I'll do something different. It was just one of those unfortunate things.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
you know?
Looking back at the footage, I think I maybe was a bit enthusiastic to try and go around and excited enough. It's maybe in hindsight I would have backed off and just taken the hit with the guys behind being a bit closer and waited for the inside. But yeah, as you say, you learn from these things, so I'll know better next time.
Excellent. And the highest point, there's obviously a lot of high points.
To pick from, yeah. So if
it was one thing,
one moment, and it should be the championship, but I think because of the way it came about, the kind of bittersweet weekend,
it's going to be the David Leslie Trophy.
That emotion, I can't stress it enough. The emotion of winning that was unbelievable. I've never felt anything like that in a racing car before. The only emotions that supersede that, probably getting married and even Holly being born, being born. But that's third, I think, in the emotions of my life. It was unbelievable, and certainly in a racing car, I've never felt better to be. And so emotional that you take your seatbelt off and jump in the car. But no,
at least you kept your helmet on.
It'd been worse. Like Mark Webber.
Yeah, exactly. His last race. But I mean, I've got to say, from a spectating point of view, it was brilliant to see the emotion, and I was really felt privileged to be involved a little bit in that and kind of see you, when you were still, trying to absorb those feelings. It was really, really great.
That's it. I mean, what you say is correct. Absorb it, because I mean, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day or next year or whatever. So these moments don't come around easily. We know that because we've been in the game long enough, and they don't come around a lot. So you try and take in everything, and I hope that through my display of craziness, I was able to show everyone there just how much it meant to us, because it really, really did.
Yeah, and it was really, really good to see, and we look forward to 2020. Hopefully we'll be sitting here in a year's time doing something similar.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah. So all the best.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. Cheers.
Enjoyed it. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.